Hi everybody, this is Cheryl Richardson, and I'm here for a Facebook Live session. It's the first time in a long time. It feels like it's been a really long time. But I'm here and I'm glad to be with you, glad to be visiting with you here at the beginning of the year. A new year, lots of pressure, right? Oh boy. It's actually been a wonderful, quiet, relaxing time, and it's a great time to visit with you and to wish you a happy new year. I hope you had great holidays and that they were relaxing. You can see my Christmas tree in the back. It just has lights on it this year. We decided not to decorate it, but to just put it up with lights. And sometimes I keep it up for a long time because it just looks so pretty. I love the lights. It's been a quiet holiday for Michael and I. Been a little sad since losing Poupon, as I know a lot of you know. So we actually just decided to kind of have a low-key holiday, and it's been a good thing. Ready for the new year. Finally launched my new book. I know some of you are reading it. Thank you. I see Robin says she's reading it right now. It's called Waking Up in Winter, and it's a fitting time for it to come out because it has been freezing here. Today was 6 degrees. It was supposed to get up to 17, and we were like hoping for the heat wave, but it didn't happen. So it has been really cold. It's been, I think my next book is going to be called Warming Up in Winter because I really need warmth. But I'm so grateful to all of you who have been reading the book and have posted on Facebook, and thank you so much. Thank you. Cheryl, I see that. She says, I'm almost done, and I love it. I appreciate that. I have to say that I was nervous, of course, about publishing this book because it's so personal, and I've been really, really touched by the response that I've received. Several people have written to say that they could really identify with what a lot of what was written in the book. And, I was really nervous about that at first because I've lived quite, I've had a pretty blessed life and an unusual life in that I've been, traveling and writing books and doing lots of media and all of that. And I was really afraid that, that people wouldn't be able to identify with my journey because it's an unusual journey. And I'm really so happy and satisfied to know that, like many of you were saying, that it just feels like the book really speaks to where you are in your journey. And, it's great. You don't have to be at midlife to appreciate what it means to go through a transition time in life. You could be in your late 20s and really reevaluating the next step for your career or your family life. You could be in your late 30s or early 40s, realizing that the kind of pace that you've been living isn't working for you and you want something different. And you could be in your early 50s like I was when I began this particular journal and realized that I had a lot more time behind me than ahead of me. And that was really scary at first. It was quite sobering realization. And at the same time, it was so incredibly orienting because it helped me to realize that, that in the end, all we really have is our connection to ourselves and to one another, right? And to this greater force, God, intelligence, the creator, a higher power, however you define that. I mean, ultimately, that's all we have. And we can spend so much of our life trying to get someplace, looking forward to something. I say that right in the beginning of the book, that I realized that, I was spending a lot of my time saying things like, I'm looking forward to when I can come off the road, rest, spend more time at home, like whatever it might be. I just kept saying, I'm looking forward a lot. And then one day I just thought, wait a minute. Meanwhile, my life's passing by and I just keep looking forward. Like, instead of being here where I am right now, why aren't I here right now? And why aren't I spending more time here? And that's really where that journal began, reevaluating everything. And it's a journey that I think is important for all of us to take on a regular basis, to be able to just stop and say, okay, wait a second, how am I feeling about the life that I'm living right now? Am I content as much as I can be? We live in a world of uncertainty. Am I happy with what's going on for me at this time in my life? Am I happy with the people I'm hanging out with? Am I happy with where I live, the work that I'm doing, the way that I feel? Do I feel somehow, hold on just a second, people, because we're going to just do that. Okay. Am I satisfied with the way that I'm living and what needs to change? Are there things that need to change? So, that's where I began this story. And I think it's a story that, don't worry, everybody. There's just somebody's just trolling. And I'm going to just go ahead and block people who are being dumb. So anyway, usually I have somebody on here with me who's blocking, but I don't think she's here right now. So I'll be doing it. I'll be blocking. That's okay. Don't worry about the angry faces. You all are so sweet and so caring of me. I appreciate that. I'll block them as we go. It's fun. It's good self-care to block people who are just being mean. Anyway, I appreciate very much that that I appreciate the feedback that I'm getting, and I encourage you. By the way, I would be so grateful if you read the book and it spoke to you in some way. If you were if you were willing to just go to Amazon and write a review, because reviews really make a difference. People read them and they care about them, and it makes the book relevant, and it just would be incredibly supportive, and I would appreciate it if you were able to do that. And so anyway, I'm here. I'm going to take some questions from you. There was something I was going to say to you. What the heck was it? I forget what it was. But anyway, I'm here to take some questions. Carrie says, will you be writing further journals? That's actually what I was going to say. I've started to get people writing to me saying, are you going to publish another journal? I actually do have the next one in that series ready to be edited. So I am just taking my time to see how people respond to this book. If it's something that, if it's something that really speaks to people, if this kind of format really works for people, and if it does, then I probably will go ahead and publish another journal. So you can let me know if that's something that you'd like. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here to answer some questions for you, and I may read a little bit from the book. We'll see, but I'm just going to go back through and just see. So Joel wants to know, how are you doing with your pet dying? Thanks for asking, Joel. It's been an incredibly hard loss. I feel like I can talk about it a little bit more now than I could originally. It's been one of the hardest losses. I think, our relationship with animals is so precious. The love is just so pure. And when you share your life with an animal, you're sharing every single day, everything you do. Like just earlier, I was thinking as I was getting ready to do Facebook Live, and I was walking out of my office, the heat was on, and it was making one of the curtains, there was a curtain that was billowing, and I thought, oh, when Poupon was here, he used to always love to get behind the curtain and paw at it when it would billow like that. He thought it was like a little game, and every moment of every day, there's something that happens that reminds me of him. And so I would say the first month, I just cried every single day, and a lot. And I didn't feel like I just couldn't believe that he wasn't here, that I wasn't going to see him. And pet loss is a very unique, different kind of loss, because I spent more time with this little animal than probably anybody, even my husband Michael. I mean, both of us were saying that he's woven into the fabric of our life every single day. And so, and there is a purity, a beautiful, pure, I mean, here's the thing. Every single day, this animal brought me joy. Like, what human beings can we say that about? Not a day went by that I didn't experience some kind of joy being in relationship with this being. So it's a huge loss. And talking to other people, I am very grateful that I come from a family of incredible animal lovers. My mother, is such a role model for me in that way. Hi, Mom, if you're here. I don't know if you're watching, but she really got it. My sister Lisa has been incredibly supportive because she had lost her dog a year ago, and she knew exactly what I was going through. And there was one day where I was just in really bad shape, and I could call her, and I was so comforted knowing she knew exactly how I was feeling. My mother knew exactly how I was feeling, and I think that makes a huge difference. And then also so many of you people wrote and sent cards and letters, and it's just really, I was so touched by all of that. So getting good support is important. There was a book that Michael found. It's called The Grief Recovery Handbook for Pet Loss. That was excellent. It's been incredibly helpful. And we have a beautiful kind of altar that we set up for both Poupon. Our friend Bob and Melissa lost their dog Libby. So we have Libby's picture there. I have a picture of my dad and I that my sister Michelle gave me for Christmas. And it's just a beautiful shrine, really, to the loss that we've had. There's Louise is there, and so yeah, doing things like that has also made a big difference. So thank you so much for asking, Joel. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Oh, Charles, I'm so sorry. Okay. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. So let's see. Yeah, don't worry about the couch stuff. It's these are just really spamming people, just trolling, and I'm just blocking them as we go. All right, so let's see. Any questions that you might have? Yes, the name of the book. Let's see, which book? So there is my book, which is called Waking Up in Winter, and I will put I'll put the link to the book. The pet book was called, I think it's called The Grief Recovery Handbook for Pet Loss. I'll also put a link up to that when I'm done here because I can't remember it off the top of my head. So I'll do that too. It's been a very, very helpful book. Yeah, Marnie, I'm sorry that you lost your cat too. Yes, the book is on audio, and it is me reading it. So thank you, Moki. I appreciate that. So let's see. Dejana says, how can I send you one book as a gift? I feel like you could do so much reading it. I think you want to send me a book, and you can do that if you go to my website, you can send a book. I will tell you that I get lots of books, so I'm not able to read everything, but you're welcome to send that to the address on the website. Oh, my mom is here. Oh, thank you, Diane, for letting me know. Hi, Mom. I'm just going back over to see if there are, thank you, Arlene, for writing a review. I appreciate that. Oh, Roberta. Yes, I remember you. Roberta says, remember when you said, let the river show you its gifts? This was a Facebook Live I did, and Roberta talked about being drawn to a river, and you can send photos. Again, if you go to CherylRichardson.com, you'll see contact info there. Send photos to Chris at CherylRichardson.com, and she'll get them to me. I would love to see those. That would be great. Talking about thinking about if you're happy with where your life's at, how do you deal with feeling impatient? Well, Allie, in some ways, that's really what Waking Up in Winter is all about. It's about this sort of gestation period, a period of mystery where I had to do a lot of waiting. And I wanted to, and you know, some of you saw the blog post, this week's blog post. It's right here on It's right here on Facebook. And if you go back and read that blog post, I think it would be really helpful. So much of Waking Up in Winter is about being brave enough to sit with not knowing what's next. You may know what isn't working in your life, and you know what you need to move away from, but you don't know what you're moving toward. And I think that there's something that happens also later in life where if we're brave enough, we let life show us what's next instead of using our mind to try and figure out where we need to be headed or what our next goals should be. I just think that it's waiting and impatience. You want to embrace your impatience. You want to be able to really, you want to be able to sit with not knowing, sit with impatience. Like I will often say to myself, even though I feel impatient, I love myself anyway. Even though I am unsure of what's next and I can't figure it out and I want to figure it out, I choose to be where I am right now. I think that really learning to be where we are, learning to just be present and patient and sit with not knowing is a really advanced, mature skill that we all could really use to develop. I will tell you, and the book really, to me, proves this, that the longer I was willing to wait, the longer I was willing to just sit with not knowing when something didn't feel absolutely right, the better my life turned out. The more in touch with what was deeply important to my soul I became. So anyway, that's, I'm glad it's what you needed to hear, Allie. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, Patty, so you're coming. So yeah, Friday night, for those of you that are local, I'm doing a launch for the book with a local Jabberwocky bookstore, which is the local independent store that I love. And I love that they are launching the book for me, and that I get to be in my own community with people I know and people that I get to meet. So if you're coming, please make sure you introduce yourself as somebody here. I'd love to meet you, and I'm looking forward to it. It's at the Old South Church on Friday night at 7. I'll post a link to the event as well for those of you. Link to event. Making notes. Okay. So let's see, and book. So let's see if we have any other questions here. I'm just going to go back. Thank you, Colleen. What do you recommend after child loss? Losing pets is very difficult. I have lost a couple in my lifetime, still makes me cry, yet the loss of my daughter has still got me caught up in terrible grief. Well, Catherine, listen, I can't imagine. I had a dear friend of mine lose her daughter about 4 months before I lost Poupon, and I had a whole new appreciation for the grief that she was going through, and I can't compare it to a child, right? What's most important, Catherine, is please, please don't grieve alone. Get some therapy, get some help, specifically from people who have worked with people who have lost daughters. Like, I would be very specific about it. You want someone. One of the things I liked in the Grief Recovery Handbook, which, by the way, I think they also have it for the loss of people we love, one of the things they said is that although time does heal, time, takes the intensity of the pain away, they actually don't like to really invest. This is my perspective of the book. They don't like to invest in that, you just need time. They actually say there are specific things you can do to help work with the grief so that it doesn't feel immobilizing in some way. And they're right. They actually offer some great advice. So I'm going to look, Catherine, just for you to see for both the pet loss and to see if there's one for grief of other losses. So check the post after, check the this Facebook post afterwards and look for a link there. You don't want to do it alone. I think getting good therapy is important. For some people, joining a grief support group is incredibly helpful. I found reading the Grief Recovery Handbook to be incredibly supportive and helpful. Also, before we put Poupon to rest, we had a reading with an animal communicator, a woman named Danielle McKinnon. My mother had used her before. Mom, swore by her that she was great. And I mean, I saw that she was incredibly helpful to my mother, and she was incredibly helpful to Michael and I. Someday I'll tell the story of that with a picture that of Poupon, based on something she had said to us before he passed. It was really quite amazing. So anyway, Catherine, just don't grieve alone, sweetheart. And I'm so sorry for your loss. Very, very sorry. And I'm going to grab my prayer book, and I'm going to put you in the prayer book. I have a red prayer book that I write people's names in, and I will put you in there, my darling. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Love how you talk about people thinking we have to be grateful for everything so we can't have feelings of not knowing what we want next in life, or feel like something is missing in our life, even though it appears like we have it all. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I think that was a part of what I was nervous about in Waking Up in Winter, is that some people would read it and think, well, you look like you have it all. What are you complaining about? But when you want to live more deeply and you want to live a life that's reflective of your soul, you're not fed by things of the outer world. You're fed by something that you can't always put your finger on and you can't always name. And all of us need, I think, to develop a more, a deeper connection to ourselves. That's where true peace comes from, and our ability to navigate uncertainty, because we live in a world that's very uncertain. And the way that we're going to create a more stable foundation is by the relationship we have with ourselves and the work we do on ourselves. Otherwise, you're always looking for something outside of you to stabilize you, and nothing's going to do that, people. Nothing ultimately is going to do that but your own inner sense of strength and connection to yourself as a spiritual being in a physical body. And so, sometimes you can appear like you have it all but not feel very happy. I do think gratitude is a wonderful path to, it's just a wonderful practice. Those of you who follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram under Coach on Call. Almost every night, on Instagram and Twitter, they're both, my username is Coach on Call for both of them. Just about every night, I list 5 things I'm grateful for and invite people to do the same. And so many people, I read everybody's gratitude lists, and I am so moved by what people are grateful for, and informed and inspired by and fed by what people share in terms of their gratitude. So I encourage you to do that, and you can follow me, and then please add your gratitude list to it, and I'll be reading yours as well, and I'll probably be inspired by you too, I have no doubt. So let's see. Are you scheduling any book signings for your new book? Yes, so this Friday, I'm also going to be in Portland, Maine. I'm going to be in Concord, New Hampshire. This will all go up on my schedule page once they've been confirmed. And let me just say this. I'm actually going to be in Arizona at the end of January. And if there's a bookstore or a Unity Church or whatever that wants me to come and speak, I would be willing and happy to do that. I just had to book this trip for some other reason, and I thought, maybe I'll check Unity. I've spoken at Unity out there. But if you're from the Arizona area, feel free to contact me via CherylRichardson.com, and maybe I'll come do a little book talk for you too. Okay. Robin says Debbie Ford's words in the book that I write about, her advice to me is very helpful. It was incredibly helpful to me. The last couple of days before she died, I was able to spend some time with her, and she shared some really, really important wisdom with me that is still till this day has stayed with me for sure. So let's see what else. Thanks, Cheryl, who writes about dealing with loss. By the way, my husband and I are Cheryl and Michael here in Australia. Oh, that's great. I love that. Thanks, Kathy. I'm glad you detoured to here. Donna says, so I love to write, and the book inspired me to begin a page for my friends to interact on. It's really scary to put yourself out there. I wasn't sure how it would be received. And wow, many of my friends responded to my first 2 posts. Such a joyful experience. How wonderful is that, Donna? I think part of the reason that Waking Up in Winter is resonating with people is because I was willing to be honest and vulnerable. And when we are vulnerable, when we're brave enough to share from just an authentic place in our heart, we tap into the universal nature of humanity. So while the details of my life might be different than yours, when I'm writing about being afraid, or I'm writing about being confused or conflicted or unsure, when I'm writing about those things, I'm writing about the places in each of us, in the human parts of us, the universal places that we all contend with at different points in our life. I think that's what happens. And so it's beautiful that you did that. And I think that's what people are responding to, your humanity. We need more humanity, don't you think? I think we need a lot more humanity in the world, people. Yes, I do. Yes, Jeannie, I do these regularly. If you are subscribed to my newsletter at CherylRichardson.com, you'll know about it. And Colleen, yes, I'm scheduled. Our spring retreat is happening in May. I haven't announced it yet, but I'm actually going to be doing this retreat with Russ Hudson, who I write about in Waking Up in Winter. He's really the world's leading expert on the Enneagram. And May's retreat is going to be for men and women, finally, for the men who keep asking. And it's all about transformation, how to get out of your own way, how to live a more soul-directed life, and the tools that we can use like the Enneagram to help us do that, to create a path of development that leads us to a life that is true and honest and soul-directed. So that'll be happening in May. I think it's May 18th and 19th. I have to look it up because I haven't done that, but I'll make sure that I put that in the post as well. I'll put the dates in the post anyway. All right, let's see. Time for just another quick question, and then I've got to run. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Andrea. I appreciate that. Yay, Portland, Maine is near Dawn. Yeah, I'm going to be at, I think it's called Longfellows. Any chance you'd come to New Jersey? Not yet, but you never know. You never know, darling. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't see any other questions here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, well, Alexander says, how do you try and live with losing 3 loved ones in the span of 2 months, relatives and a best friend? You know what, Alexander? Losing my father, my cat, Louise Hay, it just made me realize, both Michael and I have said that, we're at this point in our lives where loss is going to become a familiar friend. I don't know, like a familiar companion, let's say that. And so I'll probably be writing more about it at some point, because I think that a lot of us really need support in dealing with grief and loss. And as I said earlier, we just don't want to deal with it alone. Good therapy, support groups, others who have been through it, reading, educating yourself. I think all of these things are we need one another. We really, we're here on the planet together for a reason. We need one another. We need to support and love and belong to something, to someone. And I am incredibly healed when I talk to somebody who understands, for example, what it means to lose a little being that you were deeply connected to. And I'm incredibly humbled by and supported and grateful for people who have lost a parent and can understand when I talk about the loss of my dad. And a little part of each of us is healed when we share our grief. I remember years ago, somebody said, grief shared is grief cut in half. I love that. Grief shared is grief cut in half. And I actually believe that's true. I don't know if it's cut in half, but a little piece of it heals when we share it with one another. So anyway, all right. Everybody, I am so grateful for you being here. As I said, I am incredibly grateful for your support and your love. Thank you for supporting the book. It really means a lot to me. When you write a book and you spend a number of years working on something and you have no idea how it's going to land with people and whether or not it's going to be supportive or helpful, especially when it's such a departure. I can't tell you what it means to read your posts and your emails and your reviews. I really, I'm deeply grateful. You know, I'm a writer first and foremost, and I really honor and respect and appreciate the privilege of being able to share my life with you. So thank you for being here with me tonight. I look forward to next week. I'll be doing another Facebook Live, and I'm heading to New York to tape a show. I'll tell you once it's confirmed. I don't want to, but I'm going to be in New York next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll stop in at a bookstore there too, but I'll be in New York next week to do some interviews for the book. And make sure you're subscribed at CherylRichardson.com to the weekly newsletter, and you'll find out what's going on first and foremost. Those are the folks I communicate with first. Okay? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I appreciate it, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week. Have a good start to the new year. Remember, all you have to think about is, what could I do today to love myself even more? It's the only resolution, the only question you need to be asking yourself every morning when you wake up. What could I do today to love myself even more? You do that, and everything's going to be just fine. Lots of love.